Thank you for joining us today. One of the great things about the Brattleboro and Greater Windham County area is our ability to care for one another. And again, this time of year, it's time for the annual Project Feed food drive. Joining us today, to my left, is John Sciacca from Brattleboro Subaru, Kelli Corbeil from WTSA, who is the co-chair along with Jeff Morse for the annual Project Feed drive. Lucy Fortier is with the Groundworks Drop-In Center. Let's change our focus a bit to this year's Project Feed the Thousands campaign. Kelli, you've been the co-chair for the past several years. What are we looking at for goals, and what can we expect to do with that?
Our goal this year is $100,000 in cash and $200,000 in meals. And you know, it's concerning. It's a big amount, and we're hopeful that the community, you know, rallies, like you say, and comes to the plate and helps us out to hit those goals. And that's just small. I mean, that goal, we say it sounds like a big goal, but like Lucy would tell you, probably by the end of, I'd say January, February, all that food that we raise is gone. And then they try to survive on the cash, but the cash also is gone fairly quickly. So though it sounds like a lot of money, the amount of people that are going through that food shelf, it's only, you know, partial years funding. And so even beyond what we do for Project Feed, it's hopeful that people will continue to give to the food shelves throughout the whole year, not just this time of year.
Now, John Sciacca, as anybody may know, Subaru nationally has been involved with a year-end campaign called Share the Love. How does that work, and how does this year it help with Project Feed?
Well, Share the Love is a Subaru national campaign where starting in late November going through January 2nd, for every new Subaru sold, Subaru and Brattleboro Subaru will donate $250 to one of 4 national charities. Some real good ones: Make-A-Wish, ASPCA, Meals on Wheels, and the National Park Foundation. And then we're allowed each year, starting 3 years ago, to take a local charity and put them on that national list. So it's sort of a national local charity. And Kelli came to me this year and asked me if we would consider Project Feed as our local national charity. And I said yes. It didn't take very much convincing. I'm going to just say that on behalf of Frank Hanneberger, Sean McMillan, and myself, we are honored to be part of such a wonderful group of people and businesses that support Project Feed. I didn't know a lot about it before I started this, and just seeing the commitment of everybody on the board, spending time with Lucy, visiting the drop-in center, has really opened my eyes to the need here. Getting back to what we're going to do is, again, thanks to Lucy and Kelli and George Haynes. They came and spoke to all my employees at Subaru and talked about the importance of hunger in this community. And we're going to try and direct most of that money to Project Feed. We can't tell people what to choose, but we can ask them to keep the money local and put it to a good cause. So every time someone purchases a car, they get to choose between those 5, and we're hoping to raise $25,000 through that national campaign for Project Feed. We also have, we call it Share the Love Twice event. The twice part is an additional $100 that we'll donate to any person, family in need, any nonprofit of the choice of the person purchasing the car. And we have that same campaign at Ford. We just can't use the name, so we call it Love Our Community. And we have forms made up with 3 or 4 charities that we suggest, although there's other. And Project Feed is first on both of those lists. So if someone were to pick Make-A-Wish for the national, they could still put the $100 to Project Feed. And then at the Ford store, Brattleboro Ford, for the same time period, we're going to try and get as much money to Project Feed and a couple of other good causes out there.
So it really sounds like in learning about the problems that the community is facing, it's really changed your collective minds and hearts toward Project Feed?
Eye-opening. I have to thank both of the two people to my right for inviting me down to the drop-in center and for giving me a tour. I mean, Lucy talked about how many people come through, and you know, just looking at you guys out there, that's one person that comes through that could be feeding a family of 4 or 5. So take that number she talked about and multiply it by 3, 4, or 5, because they're servicing a lot more people. And you know, selfishly, it feels really good to be part of this group and helping the community, because you know, there's a need out there bigger than I ever thought.
Well, it shows that with corporate citizens like you, that's why this is such a successful community.
Yes, this community has a lot of good corporate businesses here, and some are sitting right at the table with us, some aren't here, but it's certainly a caring community.
Now, I want to talk to Kelly for a bit, because one of the bigger components of Project Feed, at least in terms of sheer numbers of people involved, involves the area schools. How does that come together, and at what level do Project Feed volunteers talk with students and get them involved in donations?
Yep. We have Mark Spino, who's the principal of Green Street Elementary School, that pretty much heads up the schools. And what's happened is, over time, we've involved pretty much all the area schools in Brattleboro. So what we do is we usually have a kickoff event. Typically, Tim Johnson might be there, but it's a variety of different people from Project Feed. And they kick off the school, they explain what Project Feed is, they get the kids involved, and then they do fundraising for the whole entire month through till December 18th. And so we send information home with parents that says, if you want to make a donation of food or cash, this is how you do it. Or if you need to use the food shelf, here's how you go about accessing the area food shelves. So it gives them both options. And so what happens is all the kids, you know, collect food, collect funds. They do their own fundraising. A lot of individual kids do their own. And then on December 18th, it culminates at Hannaford's, and we do a big fill the school bus day. And last year, I think we filled 3 school buses full of food. So it's the high schools in the area, the Hinsdale High School, the Brattleboro High School, all the elementary schools, the middle school. And they all go down that day, and we have a live broadcast from WKVT is live all day, and WTSA is live all day. And a lot of the community members come down. We have the fire departments down there doing a boot drive. It's just a really big, huge community day. And the amount of food that these schools bring is tremendous. And it was a big, huge jump once we really got the schools involved. To help Lucy in the food shelf. Like it was something we tapped into that was the best thing we could have ever done. And it just educates the kids at the same time and makes them have empathy for other children that they might not have realized before. And it's just a good learning experience too.
And it does seem to make sure that our children are more tapped in and aware to this community.
Exactly.
So you've got all the area schools in the Brattleboro area, both public and private, involved, and that's being replicated in many ways throughout the Project Feed area.
It sure is, yeah. And I'll list the ones that I know. And the reason I'll do this is in case somebody's thinking, well, you know, I want to make a donation or I want to drop food off. There's a lot of places to do it, which is all the grocery stores in town and a lot of businesses in town too. But if you have a child or a grandchild, it's really easy just to set them up with whatever it is, because most likely they're going to have a bin at their school. So the ones that we have that are already kicked off and running are Leland and Gray, Green Street Elementary, Hinsdale High School, Hinsdale Elementary, Academy School, St. Michael's School, Guilford Elementary, BUHS, the Career Center, BAMS, and Hilltop Montessori. Those are the ones that have all kicked off, and their kids are will be bringing things home, telling parents about it, and so.
There's another effort that I'd like you to speak to that really over the years has been rather heartwarming. Gosh, it was 1990, a former Brattleboro town manager had changed the element of the holiday gathering to a Christmas week breakfast, and thereby also began a Project Feed donation pool. And I understand that's continuing quite strong every year since.
Yeah, the town gets together and the town does a lot of fundraising amongst themselves, and they have a culmination event, which is this big breakfast at the fire department, which we'll be at. And that's when they bring all their donations and all their food, and that again is another big effort to help the local food shelf, and it's and it's just a fun event to go to too.
It really is, and it's something that I think other communities can stand to learn from and actually benefit from, because if you are a town employee in any area of town, you know the problems that your community is facing, and it is very good to be able to give back to the community that pays your salary.
Sure is.
Now, a couple of basics here. How does one make a donation to Project Feed? Give me some of the ways that people can do that.
Yep, they can send a check to Project Feed, care of River Valley Credit Union. They could drop a check off at River Valley Credit Union. Most of the convenience stores have cash buckets, so you could drop cash off there. You'll see in the newspapers, even the week of Thanksgiving and then consecutive weeks later, there'll be information forms in there with something you can rip off and send in with a check.
Ask anybody on the committee, and they will not only help with getting a cash donation taken care of, or even picking up a food donation. That seems to be the kind of heart that all of us have.
I think Project Feed is just a great way for educating just the public in general and those in need. So it's a great campaign, and it's worth continuing forward and will for a very long time.
I'd say absolutely to that. I had no idea of the need in this community before meeting you guys and having my eyes opened up. And Lucy, you just said it a minute ago, but what really struck home is when I always thought of Project Feed and the food shelf, I thought of homeless people, that the only people that went and used it didn't have homes. And I couldn't imagine that there's so many people in this community that have both parents working 2 jobs, and at the end of the month, as you were telling me, that they make the choice between having heat or having food, and that people, hardworking people, need our help. It's just not people on the street. They do too, but there's a lot of people that are working and need jobs, and that hit home for me. I would have never known that if I weren't part of this group.
So again, where can people make a donation?
Any of the local food stores, and also I should comment, we have an event coming up here at Walmart too. So Walmart is another location over in Hinsdale, and I just want to thank the Hinsdale Fire Department over there, because they do a really big boot drive the weekend after Thanksgiving, and that has become incredible. So any of those, the area grocery stores, a lot of businesses have food bins too, and you can go to projectfeed.org to find out where those places are. Any of the schools prior to December 18th have drop-off locations, or you can always just send a check to River Valley Credit Union or drop food off there too.
Well, all of you are to be congratulated and thanked. I really appreciate you spending your time with us today.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, John Sciacca from Brattleboro Subaru, Kelli Corbeil, the co-chair of Project Feed from WTSA, Lucy Fortier from the Groundworks Drop-In Center, Mike McKinney from Energy Vermont Yankee. And let me just say, as we close, that this is something that very personal. You're either part of the solution or part of the problem. So let's all be part of the solution. This is Tim Johnson. Thank you for watching.